162 Experience. We are live coming from San Diego, California. We've got some guests in the house. I want to introduce a couple people. Just to let you know, we got the guys from Cooking San Diego. We'll get into them in just a couple minutes. But I wanted to say hello, good morning. Steve Millian, my co-host, is with us right now, along with our producer,
Benito. I'm glad we survived the weekend. We were in Vegas, for those of you that know or don't know, and it was scary. I lasted 4 nights, and Benito and I hung out for about 10 hours, and then he just came in and out. But Benito, we made it.
Epic half a day. It was awesome. So we want to get to talking about a couple different things now. We were out in Vegas watching from the casinos. We watched obviously March Madness. March Madness was a great hit. We also want to talk about a little bit about opening day baseball. We are full swing of spring training. We only have about 2 weeks left of that, and then we're going to go right into the season. Steve, you had I know we were watching some of the March Madness, and we had a couple upsets and some of the epic meltdowns. And I know your team, my team, Michigan State, I was riding the Izzo train and completely out. Just lost to a 15 seed, but your team is still in it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, my upset was UNCW, so they were not still in it. They lost to Duke in the first round. But I did pick Virginia to go all the way, as you know. But I think the big game of the weekend, if you didn't see, was Northern Iowa blew a 12-point lead with 43 seconds. Never in the history of the tournament has anything been seen like that, Benito.
No, that was the epic meltdown of the weekend. It was crazy. And I think we're talking about a lot of the analysts, you see them on SportsCenter or whatever the case may be, and they were just discussing about how certain plays where you're inbounding the balls to the baseline and acts as another defender. And then they just kept doing it over and over, and they lose 12 points, go on a 14-2 run, and they lose that game. It was just huge. The biggest one in college basketball history.
Absolutely. And if it's your first time listening, 162 Experience is a show about success in business, sports, and life. And we are jacked. We have 2 guys here that starred in the hit TV show Flippin' San Diego, and they're going to be very modest. You guys want to say quick hello? We're going to go to you in a few minutes, but we got Chief in the house. What's up, Chief?
Hey, having a great time. Listening to all this baseball talk and trying to figure out what the hell you're talking about.
We're talking about basketball.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just want to hear. This is Chris Vega. I just want to hear more about Vegas. And how many drinks you actually had.
That's a great voice. Have you done radio before?
I have. It's just been I got fired, but why not try again?
Awesome. And for those of you that want to come and meet the cast of the 162 Experience live, we're going to have our launch party right outside of the Tilted Kilt by Petco Field. Opening day, 3 hours before the Padres game, so 1 p.m., April 4th. You guys are invited. Everybody's invited. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, Benito, this is in no way associated with the Tilted Kilt. We had to say that, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we're just going to be
there outside on the patio between right field exit doors of Petco Park and right outside on the patio.
But they are in no way endorsing us.
Correct.
Okay. Just so we got that clear. And Benito, you worked at the Tilted Kilt for quite some time. You're the manager there, fair?
Correct. Yes. That's how we actually met, Steve. Let me kind of want to tell everybody how we know each other. I had this guy come in who was adamant about watching Yankees games on the big screens. And he was calling the restaurant. Okay, no problem. He comes in and he's just, hey, can you turn this game on? Can you turn this game on? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So after a little while, decided I got to put this game on because I never get anybody from the East Coast saying, hey, look, I need to watch this. Okay, sure. Not a big deal. And then it was the second time. And then the third day. And then there was like the whole week he started coming in. I'm like, what is this guy doing? He's just hanging out watching the Yankees game. And that's when our conversation started. I was like, hey, what makes you a big Yankees fan? And he actually went on a tour and wrote a book about it. And Steve, you want to let our fans know what that tour was all about?
Well, sure, Benito. 2011, I attended every New York Yankee game in one season. Actually broke a world record. I've been to 176 straight games. I can't find any other fans that claim to have done that. And along the way, there were just some crazy experiences. If you ever been to a game with me or just anybody that's crazy, one night is nuts. But to do a whole season, there was just so many fun stories. And there was a lot of lessons in there, and as I started to put pen to paper and taking notes, I was like, man, this has got to be in the book, and this has got to be in the book. So you can get a copy of the book autographed. You can go to 162yankeegames.com for that. And Benito, before we go any further, let's hit our sponsors, and let's get right to our guests. Why don't you talk about our first sponsor if you're ever looking for a fun sports experience?
Absolutely. The first sponsor we want to talk about is Sports eShop. My buddy Christos, we always go to these events. We take groups of people to stadiums. It's basically what we created was the ultimate fan experience. One of the biggest things we did with NFL stadiums, we took 33 guys down to Dallas for the Jets game. It was an unbelievable time, unbelievable experience. So if you want to go and experience any one of the classic stadiums, Wrigley, Fenway, Yankee Stadium, any one of these, if you want to have the best time of your life, you need to just let us know. Let us know. We can get a hold of Christos. We can get a hold of Sports eShop, and we can create the best package you can and the best package you want to see and make you the ultimate fan and have the best experience you possibly can.
Absolutely. Good stuff. And our second sponsor is Legal Shield. I've been a member of Legal Shield for 18 years now. And have you ever wanted to ask an attorney a question, or have ever been in a situation where you needed the guidance or counsel of an attorney? Well, at Legal Shield, for about $20 a month, you can access some of the best law firms across the United States and Canada. And also, Legal Shield works in conjunction with ID Shield. They say that 1 in 4 North Americans are going to have their identity stolen over the next 12 months. Protect yourself with Legal Shield and ID Shield. And the last one I want to talk about isn't necessarily a sponsor, but a cause, Benito, that we promote. And our very first guest in episode 1 was Kim Melia. In fact, we named that episode Work, Play, Love. And Kim and myself and my partner Mike are the founders of Work, Play, Love. And what we do is we go down to Guatemala. We found an orphanage down there that we help support. And they had the land for a girls' orphanage, but strictly a boys' orphanage at the time. We found it with 50 boys. And over a period of about 4 years, we raised a couple of $100,000 to help them build that, really with our social network and just having comedy shows and races and doing all sorts of stuff. And we realized that we were good at raising money, and it just is very fulfilling. It's a fun thing that we do. And so you can go to workplaylove.org and get more information. Currently, Kim is having a clothing drive where if you've got some old clothes you'd like to get rid of, we have a place where you send it in, and then they'll sell them, and we get 40% of everything that they sell them for, which is a good deal. And we also have our Hogar Heroes program where you can subscribe monthly, anywhere from $10 to, we have people paying $100 a month to help support our efforts. And for that, we're able to fund the entire orphanage. We pay the psychologists, the teachers, and everything that it takes to run an orphanage. And we're actually sponsoring a big trip in July where we've got close to 50 people signed up to come on that trip now. So it's workplaylove.org.
It's a great cause. I love it.
Appreciate it. Benito, you ready for this?
Let's do this. Let's get these guys into the show. We want to open up with a few questions here. First of all, the guys from Flipping San Diego, we have them live right in the studio. This is going to be an awesome show. I want to get everybody fired up. They are specialists in real estate investing. I believe that's what we want to say to all our fans. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about what your industry is all about?
Oh, this is Chris Bedgood here, co-star with my buddy Chief Denny. My background is I used to be an airplane mechanic. I used to be in the Navy. I was an airplane mechanic, and I got my A&P license. And I got very good at that. I was fairly successful, was in the top of my field, and I felt like I couldn't make any more money. So I wanted to explore other things. I'm entrepreneurial. I want to always do my best and use my best ROT, which is my return on time, and to make as much as I can per hour. So I was only making I was making about 6 figures per year, which is pretty darn good for a 30-year-old. But I was like, okay, well, I've got some time. What am I going to do? So I got a thing in the mail, a seminar for real estate, and I just started going to real estate, started getting into it, got my real estate license, so I'm also a realtor. And then along the way of all those goals, I hit some highs, I hit some lows, I hit the big recession and lost a few properties. But I got back, I kept staying motivated, kept pushing. I ended up meeting Chief. We started doing some deals together, and just working it and keeping positive. You got to keep positive any business you're trying to get into, and that's what I did with real estate.
Cool. And Chief, this next question's for you. Do you remember the minute that you met Chris? I read online that you guys met at a seminar that you were doing. Do you remember the night you met?
Yeah, I do. I've done a lot of real estate seminars, a lot of speaking for either the mortgage industry or real estate industry. And I met Chris, and it was actually at one of the breaks. And we just started chatting. And, there's people that come up to you and you're like, whatever. They're just kind of, not to be a prick, but indifferent. But there's certain people that just kind of capture your attention. They're sincere, they're real. And so Chris and I started talking. And, within a few weeks, suddenly it was like, all right, let's just do something together. Let's figure out how to work together. So it was an interesting dynamic where we just kind of have always gotten along. And what's fun is in the TV show, we actually have to not get along.
Yeah.
But in the real world, we get along. So, we have to kind of banter and badger each other and, call each other a prick or whatever.
That's funny. Tell us how you guys got...
We don't do that.
Right.
How did you guys get selected for Flippin' San Diego? How'd that happen?
Chris could tell you more about that, but it was funny because before the TV show came about, we were joking around like we should do a TV show. We should, because we make fun of the guys on TV. We're like, they're full of shit. They're not. That's not a real deal because we're always looking at the real numbers, going, he really didn't make that. They didn't talk about net numbers, and Chris was working for a real estate firm in San Diego, and I think it was the president of the board of realtors approached Chris, and I'll have Chris explain because he knows it better than I do.
Well, I want to hear more about Chief's story because he's so humble. He's been in the business since he was like a toddler. So he's always been one of my mentors that I was just honored to work with, and to be able to be one of his close friends now is just one of those things that people always dream of when they have a mentor or have a hero. To get to work with them in the future is kind of like Chief and our relationship. But we got the show because networking. Everybody out there in any business you're in, you got to network. And I was good friends with the president of the Association of San Diego Association of Realtors, and he came to me one day and said, "Hey, these producers are looking for people who are flipping houses. Do you want to check out the application?" I was like, "No, why would I do that? I could never get a TV show." And then I went home that night and I said, why not? You can't gain anything if you don't do anything. And called up Chief and said, "Hey, Chief, you know anybody that can do a filming of us doing silly stuff around houses?" He said, "Yeah, actually I do." And we wrote some scripts, and next thing you know, we're being silly on camera, and we sent it in. And
it was funny because we actually missed the deadline that was for A&E, and then the production company's called Departure Film, so we missed their deadline. And so we called someone at a TV station here in San Diego and said, "Look, I just need a cameraman. We bust out someone that can film this nonsense." So we wrote the script in one day. We filmed it the next day. We edited it the following day, and it was FedExed. Like on a Thursday over to Departure Films in New York. So we had done our demo film essentially in 72 hours, not knowing anything. We made it all up just on the fly.
Totally.
Had you guys watched the show Flippin' Boston or some of the other shows?
Well,
yeah, a little bit.
Right.
I'm more of a TV watcher than Chief is. I know that for sure. But I had watched it. I love those shows. It was a learning experience for me. And it's funny because we were in the same tryout session as Flipping Boston. So they actually got the first run for that production company. And then Flipping Boston did so well that they came back around the next year and actually had us do another demo.
Hold on a second. Pete and Dave, if you're listening, I hate you.
Pete and Dave in Boston, yeah, they're awesome.
They're really cool guys.
Yeah, they really kind of broke the mold of the new flipping shows, and those guys are awesome. But we got the second season, so we're kind of their sister show. Yeah.
So, Chris, you said that Chief was basically one of your mentors coming up in the real estate game. Chief, did you have some mentors that you looked up to or taught you all about the industry?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, there's always mentors along the way. I mean, as much as we want to be self-proclaimed geniuses, really. My mom was one. My mom was just had a great work ethic. Pretty much raised by a single mom, and just a lot of those pearls of wisdom. Work hard. Get your shit together. You don't have to know what you want, but be damn clear on what you don't want. So I didn't want to be poor. Was kind of the motto because I grew up very, very poor. So she was a great mentor in terms of real estate. I had mentors like a guy named John Childers, who was in the seminar industry, great guy, and then a friend of mine, Mark Gosselin, who's a huge investor in San Diego. Owns like 5,000 units here in San Diego, major player. And all of these people are very generous with their time and their insight. And so it's kind of funny. So you mentioned mentors. One of the things I always tell people is you find someone that you want them to be your mentor is just go ask them, because we're so afraid. What do they think? They're better than us. They're smarter than us. Look at how much money they got. They're hundreds of millions of dollars. Why would they spend any time with me? But surprisingly, if you're sincere, I have found that everyone I've asked help from, 100% of them have volunteered at some level or another. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And I could tell meeting you guys right away that you had chemistry, and I think sometimes if someone's asking for help and you sort of like them, that helps out a lot too.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Good stuff. And I read in your bio, Chief, that you saw an infomercial. So take us back to what your life was like. Were you depressed watching late night TV, or you just got something and saw something motivated? Or
no, it was I was 20 something, and typical 20-year-olds. My best friend Rick and I, we would hit the bars and chase girls, and just that was the lifestyle. Hung out in strip clubs. I mean, just that whole 20-year-old thing. And I'm sure we hit our favorite taco shop, closed out the bar, and picked up another 6-pack or 12-pack, and turned on TV. And there was a kind of banana-colored suit named Dave Delgado. And so we looked at each other, and he said, "You can buy real estate. You can buy it no money down, and you can be a millionaire." I'm like, "A millionaire sounds good, and no money down, I qualify." I'm totally flat-ass broke. I'm like, "Sure." So, we invested in the course, and it just made some sense to us. And then we went to a Robert Allen seminar, and that totally made sense to us. And we just decided, I think we were too stupid to know that, it was kind of a far-fetched thing to make money in real estate, that you really got to work hard. And we were just young and naive, and we said, "Shit, let's do it." And we did. So we didn't let, we were too young to know that how difficult it really was. Not to say it's impossible, but it's a lot of work.
So knowing that, how difficult it was and how you had to work hard, is there a formula, like a base set formula on how to do flips? Is there...
Yeah, there's a huge formula for how to do flips. I mean, on the business side, it's like anything. There's a business plan. There's a process. You got to, we call them the 6 F's. Chris and I always joke around. You got to find them. You got to figure it out. You got to know the numbers. You got to be able to fund them. You got to be able to fix them. You got to be able to flip them. And you got to be able to friggin' repeat the whole process. But then there's the mindset too. I mean, most people. It's not an impossible business. It's a work ethic business. You got to work your ass off. But again, if you want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, well, work your ass off. But most people kind of quit short of the finish line.
It's definitely, if I can expand, because the way I started was complete motivation of wanting more and not accepting anything less. And you have to have a certain drive. It's not for everybody. It's for the few. Everybody wants it, but it's a few percentage that ever actually do anything with it. That's why all these seminars charge a lot of money, because if you spend the money and you do what it tells you to do, you will make a crap load of money. Yep. But if you spend the money and you don't do what it says, you will be a loser. You'll look back and go, "What the hell was wrong with that? What was wrong with you didn't do the steps?" So yeah, you got to get out of bed every morning. I know Chief works a lot. I still work a lot. We are fortunate. I speak for Chief, but we are fortunate that we love the rewards of what we do. So the work really is not work for us, because we know that we could be somewhere else doing something really crappy, and we get to look at great houses every day and kind of take a hammer to a lot of them also. It's kind of cool.
And I could tell the first time I met you guys that you just love life. You guys are passionate about it. And we actually met at a $26 million house, if you guys remember. It was like a networking event.
Yeah.
And I thought what was funny is you guys are going around the house and you're looking in the bathrooms and you're like, "Oh, this place needs to be more modernized." And I thought it was like the most modern house I'd ever seen in my life. And do you do that everywhere you go when you go to a house, or do you try to evaluate it?
Yeah, you can just call us pricks. We're criticizing $26 million house. What do I know?
You're like, "They'll never get more than 17 for this piece of shit."
Yeah, always picking up ideas. Sometimes you don't know what the new trend is, so it's cool to go into houses and see what guys are doing. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say we're really great at robbing other ideas. There's so many things in Dwell magazine or Architectural, well, not so much Architectural Digest, but Architectural Record and stuff like that. So in other competitors' homes, there's subtle little things you can pick up and go, "I never thought about that. That makes sense." So you're kind of building this portfolio of ideas. So when you have a house, you kind of have to figure out which ones to extract and implement in a house.
Yeah,
and do it all on the budget.
It just takes repetition. If anyone's looking to get into this business, you just got to keep doing it, learning. And Chief's been in this business forever, and I've been in it a long time too.
People makes me sound old.
Well, he's been in it for 2 years, since he was 18. But no, you just got to get up and repeat, and just you get better and better. Your systems get smoother and smoother.
So you guys are talking about when you go to a seminar, they're teaching these people how to do these things, and you're telling us that massive action is the key to when you're doing real estate deals.
Great term, yeah.
Now, I want to know if you guys wake up in the morning, are there rituals, success rituals you go do every day or read books every day? Is there something that's key that you've been doing for years?
I'm anal about that. I don't know if you want to answer that.
No, go ahead. I want to hear it.
I'm really big. This is going to sound weird, but this is for me. This is the epiphany. This is the 11th commandment of success, and it's.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, it's basically our words. What comes out of our mouth and our thoughts, right? If we have negative thoughts, oh shit, how am I going to find the money for this deal, or how am I going to get this done, or how am I going to get my sales price? No, I'm self-defeating. I'm stepping on my own air hose. So the words in my head, the words I express to other people, have to be empowering in the direction I want to go, right? Then the next thing is habits. We all have great habits. We have a lot of shitty habits, and I'm the first to claim I got a lot of shitty habits. So it's like, we got to clean up those habits, right? So if waking up at 10 in the morning is a habit, you're not going to do very good in business, because most people in business wake up at 5 or something like that. So, there's just different habits. And then what I call now actions. Right now, not in an hour, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, what can I do to forward myself in that direction? So I might have to address a habit. So, for example, one of the things is I suck at exercise. And I tell myself I hate exercise. And I know I'm 51. I got to start exercising. Genetically, I'm okay. But, so it's like, okay, 51, I got to start exercising. But I got every excuse in the world why I don't exercise. So, hence the reason why you guys were talking about football earlier. Or was it basketball? Or was it soccer? No, it was basketball, right? I don't exercise. So I'm not, so I'm kind of like the worst sports person on the planet. So what I realize is I have to change the words in my head. Instead of saying exercise sucks, I got to go, okay, exercise is really cool. I know it's bullshit, but that's what I got to tell myself. And I got to change my habits. So instead of making an excuse, I just got to wake up and put my jogging shoes on and go for a run. So that's what I've been doing. And sometimes I realize I'm in the middle of the day and I haven't exercised. I'm like, shit. Okay. And the minute I realize it, I'm like, okay, I got to do something now, because if I don't, it's the continuation of the bad habit. So it's basically words, habits, and now actions. And that ultimately leads to what I call integrity, where our words and our actions are in alignment, and that's what gets us to our goals. So everyone dreams big. I mean, who doesn't want to live in an amazing house and drive, a great car and have a great wife and great kids? But what are you doing to accomplish it? So words, habits, and action.
That's powerful. Chris?
Yeah. I'll tell everybody, my father is I love my dad, but he's a very negative, pessimistic type of person. And I've always had to overcome that. Ever since I went into the Navy at 17, I had to overcome this negative thing about life. And I got to tell you, I always had a positive attitude, because I did a lot of things very young that most guys were already 10 years older than me. But when I met Chief, he was one of the most positive people. Can he tell a funny joke? Hell yeah. Can he be a prick when he needs to? Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's very positive, and I started to feed off of that. I had already been getting into real estate, but I needed to take it up a notch. And for everybody out there who may have some mornings where you get up at 10 o'clock, well, guess what? I do too. I get up at 10 o'clock, but guess what? I work till 1 o'clock in the morning. I switch it out. You don't have to be a morning person. You don't have to be an evening person. You've just got to be a person who finds time in your day, every single day, to make your goals happen. And you just if you don't get out of bed, that's fine. Just stay up later. That's one of my theories. Right. And just stay positive. Keep positive. If you have a negative day, it's okay. If you didn't eat right that day, it's okay. Just start tomorrow. Keep going. Keep going.
There's a book that we talk about a lot called The Slight Edge. And the idea of the slight edge is it's the little things that you do that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. But it's the habits. It's the compounded effect that when they kick in.
Compound effect.
And that's by Darren Hardy.
Yeah.
Darren's a good buddy of mine, actually.
Really?
Yeah. We used to
love it.
Yeah, he was my mentor in the mid-'90s. We started working together before he went with Success Magazine and stuff. The compounded effect and the slight edge, sort of the same idea. It's the little things that compounded make a big difference. So the information that you guys are sharing so far is just out of sight. And I want to let's talk about the TV show for a few minutes. I think everybody's dream, or at least my dream, is to have my own TV show and stuff like that. And you don't have to be modest or humble. What was that like? The night it first aired on A&E, were you guys just like, were you jacked? Did your life change at all? What was that whole experience like for you?
Well, Chief threw us a big party.
Yeah, we had a pretty cool premiere party where we had valet service, and those big strobes, like Hollywood, and the lights that shine through the city, and red carpet, and a step and repeat, professional photographers, and caterers, the whole shindig. We had this huge screen up there. We had, we invited like 160 people, 170 people to watch the premiere show, and we had a great evening. And then the alcohol started to flow, and I don't remember much more.
Yeah, I know because I watch reality TV. It was very surreal. It was. I think Chief and I were at a restaurant when one of the producers came out, filmed us, and we looked at it from across the table. So, do you think we got it? Do you think we got it? She's like, I don't know. And so, 4 months later, they told us, hey, the main head producer's coming out, and he shows up and he goes, you guys got the show, and we just kind of look at each other, and it's like, what does that mean? Right. Are we superstars? Are we going to be on Jay Leno? And I think for us it was, it still is. It's still a surreal thing because they had us fighting and bickering on the show. We don't really do a lot of that, but you got to get through the commercials, right?
Right.
Was it hard to act? Because you guys aren't actors, you're real estate guys. Was it hard to get on that show and?
Chris did such a better job than I did. I mean, he kind of embraced it more than I did. He did a great job, and I think I kind of had my stick up my ass most of the time. It's tough when you, all right, you got a plumbing leak. Pretend like you're really upset. It's like, it's going to take 15 seconds to fix it. So you can call the contractor, you're going to plumbing leak, fix it. No, you're going to make something dramatic out of it. Just want to fix it.
You got to crawl under the house. I was the guy who always crawled under the house, for the drama.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a happy-go-lucky guy, so it's difficult for me to be pissed. Even when I'm pissed, I'm like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think Chris did a way better job of kind of embracing the emotions of the scenes. But we had a lot of fun, and and it is surreal because even now I go to Home Depot or something like that. People go, hey, I'm in Atlanta Airport, like so far away from San Diego, and all of a sudden you're Chief. Okay, I turn around like.
Yeah.
Do I know you? Hey, love your show. Really? So one of the things that's bizarre, because I'm not famous. I'm a real estate dude, and so I totally get. What if you really are famous? What if you're Jeter? I mean, there's no peace. There's none. There's nowhere you can go on the planet that people aren't constantly in his grill. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a nobody. I'm just a real estate dude.
Yeah, I have to say it's great. It was great, or is still great when you're with a beautiful woman and other beautiful women come across the floor and ask you if you're that guy, and you're like, which guy?
Yeah.
That flipping show guy. Well, yeah, I think I guess I am. Yeah, I am that guy. Well, you kind of. Are trying to accept some of the infamous, famous pseudo-celebrity status, which is fun.
It is. I was at the party where I met you guys, and it seemed like you guys were like definitely local celebrities. Nobody's talking to me, and all the beautiful women were gathered around you guys. But it was okay.
I don't know.
That's why.
I guess if my personality type, it'd be really cool if I could figure out how to embrace that, and then monetize it and use it. But for me, it's like, really?
It's certainly fun to pull that.
Another deal.
Certainly fun to pull that out of your back pocket when the ice needs to be broken a little bit better.
Yeah,
I was on that show.
It's kind of a cool bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I did a radio talk show, bucket list, TV, bucket list, 100, whatever it was, 174 Yankees games. That's a hell of a bucket list. That's way more exciting than what we do.
Yeah.
Well, out of all the successes you guys have had in the real estate market and everything, was there one deal where you just remember where it was like a crash and burn, or one that you learned the most from, or like the worst scenario?
Is that all?
Silence.
It's really, we've never lost money. So we haven't had any horror stories. Every house has its horror stories. We're doing remodels. So you walk in and you bust open a wall, and they're like, oh shit, we got to rebuild that whole wall. Well, that's not in the budget. So then you got to figure out how to huck and jive that. But
yeah, there are some.
Santa Claus.
Well,
Wilson, Santa Claus.
Oh yeah. There's some scenarios for everyone out there who's thinking of this business and thinking Chief and Chris are just magicians and wow, I can't do that. We have our ups and downs, and sometimes we think we're going to make a lot of money, and we make $5,000, which we spent 6 months on that, and is that a loss? No, it's just business. You know, if a restaurant opens up if someone opens up a restaurant, I think their typical profit return happens after 3 to 5 years. So this business can be so lucrative and so rewarding. But you're going to have your ups and downs once you get into it full time.
Yeah.
But we try to stay on the ups. You know,
What's really cool is the ups can be so large on those thin deals where you really make mice nuts. There's a house right down the street here that we have Costa Bell, and that's a $700,000 payday. So if you have a $15,000 payday, again, it kind of offsets it a little bit. Now, that's not to say that's done in 90 days. That's, a year and a half long project. But if you can line up 4 of those a year and have 4 of those kind of projects going, well, it's okay. And then if you have some smaller ones along the way, well, then it's not a bad year.
And when you're just starting out, I mean, $5,000 paychecks were amazing when I just started out in the business. And if you do that twice a month and then 5 times a month, and it's pretty cool.
Now, on the TV show, you guys were really involved in the work. You're painting houses and your kids are in the forklift and all that stuff. Is that the reality, or do you guys just pick up the phone?
What's a hammer?
I don't know. It's something that I drop on my toes every once in a while.
Every once in a while, honestly, every once in a while you got to get in there and do a little pickup work. But for the most part, where's Chris's talent? What's great is we balance each other really well. Chris is just magical at finding deals. I mean, there's a lot of people that think they can find deals. I don't know how the hell he finds them, but he does. I mean, he's really great at negotiating, super powerful negotiator, and he's got a style that somehow is able to out-negotiate our competitors. Because there's a lot of people going for the same golden nugget. But for some reason, Chris is able to get less, convince people to sell to us for less, and sell to us versus the competitors willing to offer more. My strong point is kind of, drumming up money, working with investors and capital, and, people trust me. I mean, people, they trust me with millions and millions of dollars. So we balance each other out where we're able to find deals, we're able to fund the deals. And, what the hell was the question?
Well, I think when it comes to plumbing and contractor stuff, the show, they had us doing a lot of that for dramatic effect. But at the end of the day, this business is only efficient if you are not doing any of that and you're actually finding deals, selling deals, raising money, and calling contractors to do all the work. But dealing with contractors is certainly one of the difficult parts of the business, but it's the ultimate necessary part of it.
Kind of like the E-Myth book. You don't want to work in your business, you want to work on your business. So I don't want to hang drywall. And I have a construction background. I got a degree in architecture, construction background, and basically I've been a real estate whore all my life. I've always done something in real estate and hard money lending, which is real estate. It all pertains to real estate. So I know how to hang drywall. I know how to paint. I know how to frame. I know how to do stuff like that. But I don't want to work in the business. I want to work on the business. So that's where there are parts where Chris and I do have to work in the business. And, his expertise is finding deals and my expertise is finding the money. And everything else is kind of working on the business.
Michael Gerber. You ever see that guy? You ever see him speak?
Yeah, I hired Michael Gerber years ago to do some consultations.
That's funny. I used to work with a company that represented him and other speakers and stuff like that. We always used to laugh at him because he would yell at the audience. He'd be like, don't work in your business, work on your business.
You don't want to be a plumber. You want to own the plumbing business, right?
Right. That was no fun for the show. They wanted us to get dirty and yell at each other. So.
Good real estate makes horrible TV.
Yeah.
And good TV makes horrible real estate.
Chris, in your opinion, you were talking about negotiating skills. What makes a good negotiator, or what makes you a good negotiator?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's not a cut and dry thing. You have to be able to hold a conversation. You have to be able, and what that means is you have to be able to interact with that person. You need to bond with them. Negotiation is also about making sure that the other person feels like they won, like they beat you up. And there's a finesse to that. There's a magic to it. And it takes practice, but you can read some good books out there on how to negotiate. Closing on sales, those are all negotiation skills. And a lot of it is just finding the middle ground, finding the balance, but starting out at one point, knowing that you're willing to go to another point, but they don't know that yet.
That's strong. I like it. And it could be anything. It could be negotiating I do a lot of seminars, so your hotel costs and food and beverage, just everything you can do in business from start to finish.
Sure. If you don't ask for a discount, you're probably not going to get it.
That's right. That's right. I was listening to something the other day, and they said whenever you're selling a product, always put right before you say the price, it's only. And I tell you that I do that when I'm selling my books, it's only, and it makes a big difference. Chief, this next question is for you. I was stalking you on Facebook last night late, and and I read something that you posted, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. It's no, it's nothing crazy. It's the title is "What is True Wealth?" I'd like to hear, and this is you saying it, I'd like to hear your ideas of what defines true wealth. Is it things? Is it your health? How about experiences? What about relationships? God? Happiness sound good? How do you know when you have it? Send me all your thoughts and your definition of true wealth. And so I guess 2 questions. What'd you learn from some of the responses you got? And just as importantly, what's true wealth for you?
Oh, that's why I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to steal someone else's idea. You know what? There's a point where you've checked all the boxes. You know, I've got a house in Rancho Santa Fe, which is, for people that don't know, San Diego's the wealthiest part of San Diego. So it's, you know, it's a nice neighborhood. I live in a condo down at the beach on the sand, so life's pretty cool. Got a cabin up in the mountains. So, you know, kind of check those materialistic boxes. You know, have a Lamborghini, Porsche, you know, stuff like that, Pantera, blah, 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 all the cars, and have traveled extensively the world. And I think part of it is, my wife and I are separated. So you start thinking about, you know, and I love being a dad. Dad's my favorite thing on earth. So true wealth to me is, I don't really know, but it's trying to find this kind of obscure balance in life. You know, fitness, I suck, so I'm out of balance there. But, you know, I'm a Christian, so I believe in God, so there's a balance there. And then there's trying to be a good kind of pseudo-husband, you know, whatever you call it. Trying to be a great dad. Trying to figure out what separation means. You know, so you start exploring all these different things. And I'm 51 years old, so it's you know, at what point is enough, which I hate, because people will come up to me and go, well, when's enough? My answer is never. You would never say that to a marathon runner. Well, you're doing really good. You need to slow down. Really? But with money, people kind of go, when's enough? The answer is never. But there's a point where I'm kind of looking for, what is true wealth? I mean, how do you know you finally kind of arrived? Are you that guy that's 80 years old that's got to make an extra $1 million before you can say you're retired? So what I'm exploring is, what does retirement's such a crappy word, but what does the life of leisure look like? And how do I slow it down? How do I pull it back to a 30-hour work week, still make 7 figures a year, still be a great dad, you know, still be able to go travel, snow ski, have fun, blah, blah, blah. So for me, it's kind of the exploration of what it is. And I find that most people's response is something more spiritual, about a relationship with God and stuff like that. For other people, it's family. You know, that's kind of where it fell into 2 categories where people thought, you know, true wealth, true success is the relationship with God or the relationship with their family. So I'm trying to define that for myself right now.
So what's your answer?
I have no It gets a little complicated. I got a tattoo on my arm, and the tattoo is my philosophy. It's body, being, brain, people, time, and money. So I'm trying to find balance in the body, being, brain, people, time, and money. And right now I'm lopsided. I mean, the tire, there's no such thing as balance. Balance is bunk. The tire's always flat on the bottom to some degree, right? But trying to kind of just make more sense of it.
Well,
so I don't have an answer for that. It's exploring.
I think you did. I think you did answer it. I really do. I think you answered it in a way that was very genuine and open, because a lot of people out there are struggling because they think that they're not doing well, but because they're trying to keep up with their neighbors or their buddy who just did this or did that. And really, at the end of the day, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial desires and you have goals and you want to get better and better, it's just a daily process. True wealth is different for everyone. And even though you might have a Pantera and a Porsche, maybe your true wealth is something over here that you want. And I also tell people this, and I'll be short. You can set goals and get to a certain level, but once you're at that level, you're now hanging out with people above you. And so they become the competition. And it's like, okay, I got to get to that level. So then you get to that level. And guess what? Those people at that level are hanging out with people at a different level. So now you're like, oh, gosh, I got to get to that level. So it's never going to end. Find your own peace.
Right.
I think if you can find what I call abundant peace, then you've probably found true wealth. And And maybe you'll never find it, and maybe that's okay.
And I think part of it is, it's so, in our industry, it's so materialistic, right? But it's more about experiences, finding those enriching experiences where you can go to whatever it is. I mean, it could be something modest, it could be something fun, but, tropical beach with your kids and just go scuba diving. I remember scuba diving in Hawaii with my son and putting an octopus on his face. And we swam up to a shark. And, it's all those experiences, snow skiing with my daughter in Canada. I mean, those are the things I really love. You never know which moment they're going to embrace. So you just try to jam them full of moments, and
and the hard work in real estate has helped you do that. It's helped me do that, and it's a good place to be.
And Chris, before the show, we were talking, and you were even getting emotional about talking about your own success. And tell us maybe the process of you writing a book, or you've written a book.
I have. It's called Veteran Flipper, and what I did was I decided to write down. It's more of a memoir and less of a how-to, because there's a ton of how-to books out there. There's a ton of how-to methods. You can find it online everywhere. But I wanted to get more into the motivation of it, and so I just started taking notes, and I hired an editor to help me structure it all. And in that process, I just learned a lot about myself. I started out when I was a kid, and I started learning, why am I this way? Why am I never satisfied? Why do I want to be bigger all the time when my family is perfectly content with what they have, and I'm just never. So I learned a lot about writing a book, and I recommend anyone to start writing down their memoirs to figure out who they are. It'll help motivate them. I just remember one of the biggest turning points in my life was my mother. When I was 16 years old, she tried to commit suicide and right there in my house. And I remember she took a bunch of pills, and my mom was a registered nurse, so she knew what she was doing. So my dad was able to scoop her up and get her to the hospital, and she survived, and she was fine. But they got divorced, and I just know my life changed at that moment. And everyone needs to find those moments in their lives that help them change and grow, and take those and use those. Don't push them away as a negative. Turn those tough times in their life and turn them into a positive, and just keep going forward.
That's powerful. Chief, did you have a day like that? Some call it Jim Rohn. If you're a fan of Jim Rohn, he talks about the day you turn your life around. Or was a turning point, whether it was as dramatic as Chris's for you?
Not that dramatic, but I remember one will sound really shallow, but for me it was really significant. One was after my father passed away. He passed away when I was in 10th grade. And right before, a month before I went into 10th grade. So I went from a private little school of, 200 people to something, a school of 2,000 people. So total fish out of the water, and I had to kind of discover at that age what it means to kind of be not a man, because I wasn't a man yet, but to be a young man. That was very difficult, just losing my father. And so I remember I was jogging in college. I was jogging to my grandmother's house, and I was a big partier. And I got thrown out of college twice because I just partied too much. I mean, college was like, dude, we don't want you. So my mom is humiliated and pissed. And I remember just thinking, I got to get my shit together. But I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I needed to get my shit together. So I was jogging up my grandmother's driveway, and I just remember kind of talking to my dad, just saying, Dad, I got to make you a promise. I'll amount to something. I don't know how, but I'm going to change my life. I'm going to amount to something. So it was a promise I made to my dad. And then, probably 2 years later, this sounds really shallow, but literally it was Donald Trump on TV. He was being interviewed because he'd lost billions. I think it was $4 billion in the hole. And this interviewer asked him, because I was really struggling. I just started getting into real estate. I was scared to death. I didn't have a pot to piss and a window to throw it out of. And here I'm just pretending like I know what the hell I'm doing because I got to fake it till I make it. And this guy asked Donald Trump, you're losing billions of dollars. And aren't you worried? And I remember he just looked this guy deadpan in the eyes and goes, I don't worry. I get things done. I make things happen. And to me, it was profound. It was like, oh my God, that's the solution. Just get shit done. Make things happen. Not any more complicated than that. So I was literally sitting with a bowl of Cheerios watching TV because I had the day off. So I was going to watch TV all day, I guess. I don't know. And I put the bowl of Cheerios down. I was like, okay, I got to make something happen. And I think I just picked up a newspaper and started making phone calls, calling on potential sellers.
That's awesome.
Great. I love that stuff. I know there's going to be a lot of people listening to this show about real estate investing, people who are just starting out. If you could give one piece of advice to those guys, to those women out there who are struggling or who want to go to that next level, what would you tell
I guess I'll start. I think if you want to get into real estate, you have to commit. You have to say yes, because you're going to have a lot. I don't want to be negative, because it's all about being positive, but you have to keep going, because in real estate, there are a lot of, it's like fishing, right? It's really called putting a pole in the water. What do they call it? It's not called catching, right? So you have to just keep going, and that's why some people make it and some people don't, is because a lot of people give up. And if you give up, you're not going to succeed. But I guarantee you, if you keep going, set goals, find some mentors, read books, and make offers, you will succeed at real estate. You will.
I guess my advice would be, there's no shortage of information on how to make money in real estate. And the real trick is finding not the naked tailor, finding an active practitioner. There's a bunch of seminars out there, and most of them are hogwash. But there are groups that are legitimate. So who is actively practicing what they preach, and get some kind of evidence of that. And cancel check, a HUD. For example, like Chris and I, we actually do this. So if someone said, well, I want you to teach me how to do this, great, not a problem. Do you practice what you preach? Sure. Which property would you like to go look at? That's really important. And I think, kind of piggybacking on Chris's statement, you can have excuses or results. Just choose.
Strong. What's next for you guys?
What's next for us, guys?
A day full of work. What do you mean? What's next?
Well, are there any goals that you haven't accomplished, or some things that you want to do, things like that?
Come on, Chris, go find some more properties.
Yeah, I want you to answer the phone.
Yeah. For me, it's right now. It's kind of twofold. It's discovering the next chapter in my life. So I kind of look at it. I've always said, look, I'm going to live to be 101. So at the halfway mark, right? Okay. So it's like, okay, what's the next chapter look like? So I'm trying to find that, how to create a 7-figure income, but do it part-time. And unfortunately, I'm not, a podcast. I don't know how this all functions and works and stuff like that. I'm sticks and bricks. I'm like the oldest trick of the trade. There was prostitution, then there was real estate, right? So I'm still like, this neophyte out there. Sounds like your weekend. So for me, it's refining the business to a point where I can start enjoying life more, work less, make more. So for me, it's about working with fewer, better people on fewer, bigger, more profitable deals.
Absolutely. Chris?
Yeah, I have set a lot of goals, and I've achieved a lot of them. What's next for me is I'm trying to find a little more balance in my life. I get caught up in real estate because I love it, and I'm so networked that and Chief can say the same thing. We just get a lot of deals across our plate now. And so you're always immersed in it, whether you want to or not. And that's how we set ourselves up. We wanted it to come to us. But at the same time, I'm trying to find balance. I need to go to the gym myself. I'd like to get more involved in, helping the homeless, community involvement. And those are some of my goals, is to turn my wealth and my experience into helping others. I'd love to help new people. I have a website called startflippingnow.com, and people can read stuff about what I've done. But I think if I can't turn my experiences and my wealth into helping others that don't have stuff, like the homeless, I don't think I have added much value. I want to go out, not having said how many homes I've dealt with or done, but how many people that my money and my time has influenced. That's where I want to kind of go next, and I'm trying to figure all that out. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like make money, have fun, do some social good.
Exactly, and you get caught up in just making the money, and you got to realize, wow, I need to help people. And that's kind of where I'm at. I know Chief and I have talked about that too. Sure.
One of our themes for the show is to inspire people to live their dreams. And through, our books, our podcasts, our lifestyle, and you guys certainly have added to our show. And I know we're going to get a lot of great feedback, but you guys just living the dream, living life, great guys. a positive influence on all the people you meet, I'm sure. Benito, any final questions?
Yeah, real quick, guys. I wanted to make sure I had this right. If people wanted to actually get some advice from you, start being like bird dogs, like you said, you wanted to find a whole bunch of new properties. What's the website that you were just talking about? Startflippingnow.com?
I have startflippingnow.com. It's a kind of a site where people can look at stuff and how to get into the business. It's a basic site. You can always find me on Chris Bedgood-Flipping San Diego on Facebook. I think Chief Denny Flipping San Diego.
What I have anymore. My website is chief@chiefpropertyventures.com, and I'm sure you just type in Chief Denny on Facebook.
Yeah, that's another.
I don't know how you navigate that stuff, but I have a Facebook page.
Hey, final question: Are you? Are those your real names, or are these stage names?
I don't know. I think the Bedgood is a stage name.
Chris Bedgood.
Well, my ancestors were either bed makers or they owned a whorehouse. I don't know.
Probably both.
I like to try to be bed great instead of bed good.
Bed so-so?
Bed so-so,
That doesn't work. And Chief is really my name. It's my legitimate name. And my daughter's name is Savvy, and my son's name is Rocket.
Rocket. How'd you come up with Rocket?
That's a very long story.
Well, we were discussing that last night. We thought you were a big baseball fan because of Roger Clemens.
I told him you weren't, though.
Yeah.
Rocket, hockey. Come on, guys. It's the only sport I know anything about. Fighting and hockey.
Awesome.
There was a boxer named Wes Rocket. And that's a long story, but my uncle's a boxer and trained him, and he was a great boxer. So Rocket, cool. Chief Rocket works.
Good stuff. Final question, guys. Chief, I'll go start with you first. If you were giving advice to yourself at a young age, say 17 or 18, what would be one piece of advice that you give yourself?
Only one? Jesus. I would have to say, I'm going to split it into two because I can't do it in one. Self-confidence and self-discipline.
Strong.
I would say a little bit different. I would say don't get married. I've never been married, by the way. I'm 46. But I would recommend anybody.
Wait, we got to do a pitch. You're 46. He's good looking. He's physically fit. He's making a ton of money. Lives in San Diego, California. So for any of you women that want a good looking guy who's got a TV star, check out Chris.
Right there, yes. Don't get married. And that sounds so funny, but don't get married when you're young. Set your goals high. Go for them. And I would get into real estate in any fashion as young as you can. And you will be it'd be unbelievable where you'll be in 10 years. Because any 50-year-old can get in real estate right now, and they'll be way ahead at 60. So can you imagine getting into it as a teenager?
Powerful. Benito, we've just changed the name of episode 2 from Flippin' San Diego to Don't Get Married.
Yeah.
I heard it from. Hey, guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Hopefully, we've found 2 new lifelong friends. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you for inviting me.
Awesome show.
Appreciate it.
I loved it.